Well, hello, everybody. Just thought I'd check in. Got a little bit of time here this afternoon. Haven't broadcast anything live in about a week or so, and just have had a chance recently to start knocking out a little bit more on the Negro League project. So I just thought if anybody's hanging around this afternoon, we could chat a little bit about it. I can show off some new players that have gone into their creation. I have added a couple other placeholder teams because I'm just trying to balance each roster out, about 40 players or so. So I've got two iterations of many of these. So a 1920 to 24 team, I've got two of those. 20s, I've got a lot of players done so far. So you can see I got 36 on this file and 17 on the other. And for 1925 to 29, I've got 42 on that one and 27 on the other. So I've got a decent amount of players from the 1920s built. The early file, the 1900 to 1909 range, I've got a total of 22 players built there. And let's take a look at, notice I've got a player built here that does not have a photo. So I'm just going to make a note of that as I kind of run through and take a look at kind of proofing some of the work. As I create these players, I've done a lot of manual data entry, so it's always nice to go back in here and take a look and see if I've missed something. I've got a checklist here where I've been able to track, making sure I get the player photos done, things like that. And I do appreciate a couple. I know MV, who's following this project closely, was able on Discord to send me a sheet of his recommending some players to get built that are kind of on his watch list. So very appreciative of that. So let me take a look real quick here and search for Regilio Valdez. Going to take a look and see if I've got him built. Go look for him. There he is. And I see I just got to change his name to an S instead of a Z. That's why it wasn't auto assigning. So always good to fire up this file and just look at it and look at some of the reports in different ways just to see if I've missed something or have any errors. So I built quite a few new players. Right now, the reason I'm coming on is I've got a total now. Let me double check. I think I've hit the 300 mark, but we can search what I've got right here. And we can see that if I scroll all the way down, looking at all the players. Yep, I am at a total of 300. So I thought, man, this is a good time to come on the air and just see if anybody's going to show. I haven't had anybody here yet, but see if anybody shows up live, have any questions, want to talk about any players. Maybe I can talk through some of the players that I've built here, like the last 50 or so, last 40 or 50, and some that stand out to me. I've built a lot of the better, I would say the great players, but there's still some really good players that I'm getting down to as I start searching for who I need to add. And I get surprised all the time. So let's take a look at batters. expanded batting. Let's take a look here. OPS is always nice to see. And a lot of these, I'm trying to think of, there's any, Charlie Mason. I think that's a newer player that I've built that stands out. We look at average, there's Steel Arm Davis is there, but I believe there was another one down here around the 320 range here. This is one that I just built today. Had no idea about this player. Irvin Brooks. Pretty interesting player. Played for the Brooklyn Royal Giants for his entire career. And it's pretty rare as I research the Negro Leagues to see somebody play their entire career, especially if it's over 4 or 5 years, with only one team. And that's the case with Irvin Brooks. So that stood out. Also, his average of 320. The bio that I read him, he was an outstanding hitter. His numbers bear that out. I think he was like a 306 lifetime career hitter. But you can see here for these best three, averaged out, MLE'd, all that good stuff behind the scenes. He's a 320 hitter. And here's what's surprising for that time frame: some good power with 16 home runs for them. So this was kind of a surprise player. When it comes to fielding, he can play second base, pretty good fielder at second, center, or right. So that was one today that really stood out. Let me look at my list here and see another one. Neil Robinson for the 1930s team. We'll take a look at the 30s. And there's Neil Robinson. So again, known as the Shadow, he was an 8-time All-Star, played from 37 to 48 for several teams, led the league in home runs twice, in 40 and 45. So um, just right below 300. He's a decent hitter. Fielding wise, he can play a little bit of second, short, left, and center. This is another player that I was unfamiliar with. So again, as I've probably mentioned over and over again on each one of these broadcasts, from a history projects perspective, this has been a blast, because you're learning a lot about the players. You're getting to kind of see how they played, how they were used, their different fielding positions that they're rated at. But it's also that little tidbit that I'm able to find. Some of them are tough to find any kind of bio information on that I've gotten to recently. I think it's just a matter of what sources are out there. This one here is a good example where I might not have anything other than the years they played, who they debuted with, teams they played for, if they were on a World Series team, right? If it's absent other specific info. And we have the man of 1,000 voices has joined us today, Aaron Reed. Welcome. I'm just giving a little update on the Negro League project, and I've hit the magic number of 300 done. So I think my goal is to try to get 200 more built. So that may take me a good month and a half, is what I'm thinking, as things have gone. I think I'm about a month and a half into this right now. Not actually, yeah, probably 6 weeks. I've got 300 done. So in another month and a half, maybe mid-April, maybe if I give myself by the end of April to have the entire file kind of built out, the 500 to 600 range, give me some time to test some things out, quality control, double check that, I've got, don't have any misspellings in here, especially now that I'm having to type a lot of words in the bio section here, or notes. I call it bio. The bio really for action is just it's a great screen to show you what year they're assigned to. This is great here too, because it lets me see that it defaulted to 20, age 20 in 1930. So if I click on Jabo Andrews, he should be 25 years old in 1932. So I know right away that needed to be corrected. There it is. So I just made a correction. So it's really kind of neat to come on here and be able to kind of show this off, because at the same time it allows me to put extra set of eyes, or an extra time for me to kind of put my eyes on this in a different way. So I've done a lot of batters recently, not as many pitchers. Just kind of has been I've been kind of working my way through outfield positions. I did find an interesting player that kind of a two-way player, Harry Kenyon for the 19. He's in the early 20s. Let's go take a look at him. So, oh, late 20s. He's 1925 to 29. So there we go. This is where I'll find him. And here's Harry Kenyon. So we take a look at him. This is a two-way player. Played through the 1920s, later was a manager. And I can see also that it's kind of cutting off my bio. So let's go over the notes. Pull them up right here. Just kind of lets me see, how this is showing up. Because sometimes I think I've hit my max number of words, or maybe I'm under, maybe it's over. It lets me make sure everything shows up well. So let's look at Harry Kenyon again. Known as Deacon is his nickname. And you can see pitching wise, it's not spectacular at all. In fact, he's below average in his pitching numbers. He's 34 games played total. He can start 22. His whip's about 1.4. The ERA is around 4.71. Gives up an opponent batting average of 294. So this isn't, maybe you throw him in for some mop up if you just got to get some innings eaten up. But as a batter, not a bad batter. He's 287. And fielding, he can play a lot of different positions. So, he can play first, second, left, center, and right. So not really a great player, but just an all-around, starting player to have on your team for sure. So that was, as I get down into this category of players, it's really been fun because these are players I've never heard of before, and I'm learning so much about how they were used, and it is interesting to see some of the two-way players and all that good stuff. Now, it is taking a little time because again, as we get into all these different fielding positions, it takes a little bit longer to get their stats put in and their ratings done and all that good stuff. But hey, it's a labor of love as I'm learning going through here. Anything else that stands out here a little bit? Johnny Davis. Let's put him on the 40s team. Take a look at some. I've added a few more players that are later in the Negro Leagues. And let's see. Probably down here. And let's take a look at Johnny Davis. Johnny's Davis. Nickname is Cherokee. Good hitter. He's a 300 hitter. He's got 19 home runs. Can play all three outfield positions and a little bit of first base. He's rated 8 out in the left field. So another player I wasn't familiar with. Three-time All-Star. Actually won a World Series on that 46 Newark Eagle team. So this has been, he was one that stood out. Another one here, another three-time All-Star here, Buddy Armour. Take a look at his fielding positions, right? He can play shortstop, and he's above average in all the ones he can play shortstop in the outfield positions. He's a 289 hitter, right? So now we're into these good play. I call it the good player category, right? So we've done some of the premier and the greats, and some of these good are really better than I would have thought, right? As I dig down, and I'm using WAR again career-wise, just trying to work down the list at seam heads to make sure I get some notable players in there. Then I'm also searching that list top 100 by position, and I'll also sort it at, at bats or innings pitched for pitchers, right, through that list to make sure I'm getting the relevant players done. And there's still some more to go on this for sure. Still some more to go as I sit at 300 done. Just looking at my list that I've created here over the last week, just kind of see if there's anybody else that I think might be interesting to call out. Oh, here's one. Charlie Suitcase Mason. Right here. Career 309 hitter. Played for several teams. Nickname was Suitcase. And you can see here for this league, he's set at 323 average with 23 home runs. That's pretty good pop in the bat for sure with on this file. So that stood out to me. I hadn't really paid attention or known about Charlie Mason, but this is one that definitely be a good pickup. When it looks at fielding here, he can play left, center, and right. And I see I don't have a rating for him in right. Now, another great reason why I love doing this because it lets me catch errors like that. So let me go look at Charlie Mason. And he should be a 5 in right. So let's go take a look at him. And that's what was missing. He's a 5 in left, center, and right. So there we go. Take a look at fielding. So he stood out to me. A couple others that stood out. Here's another interesting player, Sam Jethro, also known as Jet. He's on the 40s team. We'll take a look at him. 4-time All-Star. Stunning speed, led the league in stolen bases twice. You can see he's got 30 stolen bases, 12 caught stealing on his card. He's going to bat over 300, and he's got some multiple positions he could play. I see second base he's rated as a 0. So let's go take a look here and edit his fielding and see what's going on here at second base. And this is what will happen sometimes. I will forget to space over and drop his range in the right box. So again, nice to be able to see things that stand out here. But Sam Jethro, another good player to have on a team, along with Lester Lockett, 294 hitter, another 3-time All-Star. So Lockett was, again, another player. A lot of these players I'd never heard of before, and so I've had fun last couple of days as I've had a chance to knock out several of these and get them built into the game. Seeing if anybody else stands out as far as good batters. Marito Acosta, another good batter on the teens team. So if we go down here and take a look at the teams. Let's see. I've got a second version here. Here's Marito Acosta, the first Cuban player in the major leagues elected to the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame in 1955. So another good player. He's a lefty. He's a good fielder. We click on his card. 290 hitter. Not bad for that, considering the league average for the year he's assigned to in 1916. And got speed. He's got 43 stolen bases. And he can play all 3 outfielder positions. So just another great player on this. So I'm just having fun with this. And in my brain, I'm thinking, the goal of this, once we're done, is to have this draft league. And when I've got this 500 to 600 players done, who are trying to think how many teams we thought we could have. I actually think we could get to having 20, possibly 24 teams. I think 20 would be a really good league to set up for a draft league where you've got four divisions of 5 teams. I think that would be really cool. Could we do 4 of 6? Yeah. I think we would need closer to 550. We could probably do that because if we divide 550 by 24, it's given us 23, average of 23 players per team, and that's plenty. I don't know if you really need 25-man rosters the way these teams are covered, right? You can cover a lot of games played at different positions because there's very few just one position players here. A lot of people can play multiple positions. As if we click on, like, look at the 20s here, you can see a lot of players. Here's Ambrose Reed, another new one here. Basically, you can play every position but catcher. There's so many of outfielders that can play all, are rated for all three, and in some cases infield positions. So a lot of versatility here. There's no reason that you would need a 25-man roster, but if we were to go 24 teams by 25, that's 600. So I really feel comfortable that we could get 20 and hit 500, but I'm going to shoot for between 5 and 600. And I haven't really done a master list to find out how many players that I'm going to create overall. I'm just kind of doing it as I go, right? I guess one approach would be to go to look at everybody that has substantial at bats or innings pitched that I want to build and put them down on a list and see what my total number will be and then work towards it. I just haven't kind of put that goal out there at the end. I'm like, hey, let's just start cranking them out based on WAR at position, and then go into like innings pitched and at bats and get those players done and just kind of see where we go with this. I'm kind of enjoying that approach versus spending a lot of time identifying all the players in like one day, one fell swoop, and then building towards it. So who knows where this project will end, but it's at 300 right now. And I don't know when I originally thought of putting this together for maybe 10 teams if I'd get to this point. So it's been fun. Big Clue is here. What's up, Big Clue? Big Clue, I'm just showing this fact off. I am at 300 players done. One interesting thing, there's 2 players I've built, John Tubby Barnes, who you can see on this screen, and I'm trying to think who else. And I don't have any kind of picture I can identify for him. So what I came up with, since his main uh, position as catcher, as you'll see here, I came up with this idea for a photo. I just got a black silhouette to put in there with the same card template until at some point maybe I come up with some kind of picture for him. Because some of the pictures I have here are better quality than others. Some I'm trying to enhance. I'm just trying to get them as good as I can. But some of them, there might just be one option you have for a photo and then to try to colorize it in that. So John Barnes and one other player. So far out of 300, I've been able to find photos for 298 of them. So I'm happy about that. And Big Clue, I was just kind of talking through a little bit here about what I've been able to come with, like the last 40 or 50 players I've built here, and some of the ones that have been really interesting. Heliodoro Hidalgo is another one that I did today, and I'll pull him up. He's on the teens here. And 263 hitter, right? So, pretty average for the time frame he's associated with, and decent center fielder. Got all the stats done for that. His batting, good speed though, right? He's got 36 stolen bases. You just saw Frog Reedus. Let's take a look. And there he is, Wilson the Frog Reedus. And Yeah, played for several teams, was a two-time All-Star, led the league in RBIs in 28. Uh, and interestingly, right, you know, he's a 324 hitter with 22 home runs. That's a big stick on this file. I can just tell you. I mean, it's just really good power on this file. You know, he's above a 900 OPS. We look at fielding. You know, he's not a great fielder by any means, right? But he'd be in there for his bat. But he can play all three outfield positions. So big clue. You're welcome, man. I almost feel like I can't stop now. It's consumed because now I think there's extra motivation knowing that there's other people. You know, if this is a project, I might have got tired of it a little bit if I'm just doing this for my entertainment. But I think the fact that there's other people that are looking forward to using this like in a league and knowing there's other people that might appreciate to have this to run their projects with and do that, that's been a big motivator and kind of keeping me going, along with the fact that there's so much new in here for me. You know, sometimes with regular baseball, with the MLB, I'm sitting here and I know a lot already, and then I'm looking for twists on how to entertain myself, right? How to slice it different, how to set up variation of teams. There's so much with this project that's just completely new. So I think that's a huge motivation. Let's see what else I can show off here. I'm just thinking about some Pablo Mesa, another one on the 24 team here, on the early 20s variation too. So we got Paul Table or Pablo Mesa, Cuban outfielder. And sometimes, you know, it's tough. I might not be able to find a lot of bios, right? So I'm just trying to get something down there, and this might be all I have. He's a Cuban outfielder. Here's the years he played, and you know, here's the team he played for. His nickname was Champion, but I couldn't find anywhere an explanation on why he was given that name. But he's a 291 hitter, so he's a decent hitter, great left fielder. Another new one I did today, so I had a blast with that one. Trying to think who else. Oh, Pete Washington I just did. Pete Washington is in the late 20s. I've got another late 20s right here. Let's take a look at Pete Washington. Pete Washington played for a lot of different teams, right? Debuted with the Washington Potomacs in 23. He's a 274 hitter, so probably a pretty average hitter for this file. Really good fielder. Really good fielder, right? So he's 8 in left field, really good range, you know, in center field, a good throwing arm. So Pete Washington. Another Washington is Naaman Washington. Debuted with Indianapolis ABC's nickname was Cy. He's a 260 hitter, so you know maybe right at average. In fact, I guess I could pull my arrows up and see exactly what average was in 1926, but I'll have to look at National League because he's been converted over. So yeah, a little below average. So we'd expect him to be about Negro League to NL. We'd expect him to be about 275 to 279 would be your average batting average for 1926. So he's just a hair below average. But hey, a lot of options in the field. He's a 9 and left. He can play center and right. He can play third, short, and he can catch a couple games if you need it. So it has been interesting as I do this and I put my lens on of somebody that would like be setting up a draft league to have fun, and you start noticing um, um, all the positions, all the options, and the versatility. Big Clues had PC problems. And he's got the Negro League Diamond Gem, so he's back to cards and dice, keeping himself entertained. Nice. Um, those of you that may not be aware, I play tested it a little bit here a couple weeks ago when Action sent that file out, but we've got the this is the really top. So we've got this file out now that you can get from Action PC, which it has the top 20 Negro League teams, and they've set up, I think, an 84 game schedule for them to be able to play the greats against each other. So this is just another variation from having, I think, the 8 complete season files that they do have. This would be another fun one um, to look at. So he's talking about 43 Homestead. Let's click on that, and here's that team. You can separate. Let's take a look at bats here. You can see you got Jerry Benjamin, Bankhead, and Cool Papa Bell, Buck Leonard, Josh Gibson, and Judd Wilson all on that team. Roy Partlow, who's a great player, right? With just part-time backup there. Pitchers on that team. Let's look at games started. Johnny Wright, Spoon Carter. So there you go, and you can have fun with it. Big clue. So another great option for Negro League fans here is having the ability here to take some of these great teams and kind of run your own little great team tournament. Again, for me, it's not as appealing. And the only reason I say that is I don't really have much of a, I guess, connection, nostalgia wise, to say to try to want to take an intact Negro League team. I've just become infatuated with the actual player by player um, and just kind of getting it down to that level. Let's take a look at this Hilldale Club. Nip winners on that one. Take a look at the at-bats here. Otto Brigg, George Carr, and Judy Johnson on that team. Frank Warfield, Biz Mackey. Another really good team. And we've got Detroit in 32. So let's take a look at Detroit, where you got Cool Papa Bell and Willie Wells on the Detroit Wolves team. Mule Suttles is there. Interesting, interesting. MV is here. Yeah, man, I've been busy. MV, here's what I got. Whoops, wrong database here. I know MV's already purchased this, no doubt. I'm showing off MV, the Dave Cook top 20 greatest teams Negro League file. And now let me go back to mine. Here's where we're at, MV. I think I was 267 last time. Haven't had hardly any time in the last week, but where I'm at now is going to be 300 total right here. That's why I came on. I hit this milestone. We've got 300. Dave's file is out. It is, it is, it is. Yeah, as a Detroit fan, yeah, the Wolves would be okay. Yeah, I like the Tigers okay, but I don't have any one preference. MV says I may have to purchase. MV, it's the only file you don't own for baseball. Are you kidding me? Give you some good options. MV also was kind enough to give me some names, and I have not gotten to all of those. Let me pull it up here. I've got his file open, as a matter of fact. There's some, and I like how MV sent me a file, and he has his own little names for him, like Under the Radar, Fireman, Dr. K. I thought that was interesting. Some of these players I do have done. Some of them I'm still looking at. The Don't Stand Too Close. A good majority are. Taking a look at your pictures here. I think I've got most of them done. And then he's got them broken down by um, position. So it's very helpful. I appreciate that, MV. Oh, he also needs the franchise file. And which franchise file would that be, MV? So let's show off some of the ones we've got here. Jabbo Andrews. The missing MLB franchise file. Let's see. Jabbo Andrews, 314 hitter. Never heard this name before. MV and Big Clue may have, though. Can play all outfield position. Played for 11 teams in 10 years. I thought that was a nice, oh yeah, the best of franchise. Got it. So Jabbo was one on this file that was done. Again, Neil Robinson was another player um, that I did just today, known as the Shadow. 8-time All-Star, which was interesting. 299 hitter, decent power, and can play multiple positions. So I'm really kind of interested in how a draft, once this file is completely done, MV. And I know MV spends time thinking about the strategy and all this stuff, but man, there'd be a ton of strategy on players and two-way player Latino. Okay, let's see. Guaranteed he's probably early. Could it be Jose Acosta? Oh, I've done that. He's pretty new. He's only got partial ones. Maybe let's go early on. Can't remember his name. It's cool when I can come through here and change stuff because I've got to, those don't need to be with the pictures. Got to clean that up a little bit. Left fielder and also a pitcher. Hmm. Hmm. Not ringing a bell to me either. Thought maybe I could figure out who that was. Here's a player. Oh, give me five. He's gonna figure it out. Here's Oscar Levis, another decent pitcher. Again, in the last week or so, I haven't done too many pitchers. I've only done maybe a handful. Let me go back up here early and see if I've got. Okay, I've got Earl Gurley. He's on the 1924 team. Here's Earl Gurley. Debuted with the Stars. 310 at bats. Not really a full-time player, but good left fielder. Earl Gurley. And who else we got? Judy Gans. It's going to be right under here, I think. Oh, it's this one. So I've got two. Judy Gans. 292 hitter. And what's cool is with a 292 hitter 1913, I can go over here and take a look at my era. 1913, that's pretty good because you've got between the NL and the Negro League file, 261 to 267 is pretty much your average hitter. So he'll be above average hitter and can play left or right. Pretty good left fielder. ESPN Baseball Encyclopedia has a nice section, Negro League players, some bio stuff. Oh, nice. Definitely something to check out. Oh, MV's going to seam heads. He's going to come back and tell me who it is he's looking for here. Done another Acosta recently today. That was Merito Acosta. Let's look at Hidalgo. Heliodoro Hidalgo is one. He'll be on this team right here. Another known for speed and defense, elected to the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame in 1943. He's got 36 stolen bases. 263 hitter in 1912. Let's see how that measures out. 1912, we should be 260 if I'm averaging the two, probably about 270-ish. So just a hair below, not a ton of power, and you'll notice that OPS right there, just a hair below average. So always nice as a good indicator to me to be able to take a look at that. Some pitchers here. Take a look and see what else we've got. Talk to guys about Theolic Smith. Theolic Smith. Let me find him. He will be 1941. I think he's on this first one right here. Fireball, but also threw a knuckler, all-star in 3 different decades. Very, 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 very good. So as a pitcher, I would say probably average. I'm going to look at ERA for 1941. See his ERA plus, but he can play the outfield and he can bat 278. So I would say that's a really good, good two-way player to have on your team for options. But he's not going to be outstanding on either end of it. Just a good, solid player. I'm just looking through my list over here to see if there's anybody else to possibly call out. Let's take a look at Palomino, 1907. Let's go to this early file. These are really some interesting. We've only got 22 players total between 1900 and 1909, but there's a couple really good ones here. Who's another one? Emilio Palomino's one that I've done recently. 284 hitter in 1907. Let me go take a look at 1907. 1907 league average is going to be Negro Leagues 234, National League 243. So you can see he's above average for that time frame. So 284 may not look good, but when you take into account he's in 1907, it's a lot better, and you can see that OPS indicate that. That's fun stuff. I enjoy kind of going through here. Yeah, he has an outstanding WAR. Now let's take a look at his defense. That may help some of it. Yeah, he's average, right fielder, decent arm. But here's the other thing that makes his WAR good too. He's got 40. That's a lot of stolen bases. Yeah, I do too, Big Clue. Those are like they're really fun to do. And like when I look at this file, some really cool teams. Bobby Winston, there's another one that's been fairly recent. Outfielder, played with the Cuban and Chicago Giants, right? He's 295 hitter in 1907. So again, that's two, you'll see his OPS being 135. That's really good batting line being assigned to that year. And fielding wise, yeah, he's an 8 in left field. Pretty. There's a good left fielder. He's got 41 stolen bases, so got a lot of speed. And we've got here's Andrew Payne. This is kind of another new one I've done. Small guy, still able to slap line drives past infielders, and he had a strong throwing arm. We look at fielding here. He's got a 9 arm. He's a 10 in right field. He's got one of the highest range ratings for right field that I've seen so far. I don't. I didn't see that, but that's going to be helpful, Big Clue, if he does, because I'm getting down into some of these players that weren't on his like first and second runs, so I'm having to do a lot of the number crunching myself, which slows things down. Um, so I may have to go back in there and take a look. If you could do that, Big Clue, if you could drop the link right here in the chat, if you could, to make sure I'm going to the right place, um, that's that will be awesome because I'd love to be able to get moving a little bit on that too, and having a little bit more information for some of the ones, especially now that I'm getting down to what I call the good to average range. I'm still finding some real gems in here, but most of the notable I call the premier players have been done and the greats. But then I have these kind of good to great and average to good categories that are really fun that I'm down to now. But here's one right here, Andrew Payne. Never heard of him. This will be a great pickup. 123 OPS, good fielding numbers. I mean, he's an 8 in left, a 10 in right, 6 in center. This would be a good player to pick up. 28 stolen bases. Horsehide Dragnet for anyone who needs to. Oh yeah, that's it. I do have it saved under that. Okay, got it. Nice. Thanks for that, MV. I'm gonna have to take a look through some of that. And definitely look out to see if there's more information I can download to help me out. But I got to say, I'm getting faster with the create. It still takes a while, but I mean, I'm much more efficient. Every day I get through these, I kind of know my process, how I'm going to approach it. Um, got my recipe down on the batting lines and fielding ratings and all that stuff. So I'm feeling really good about it. I think there's just some time like this that I can set aside to come on here and like broadcast because it lets me. I've already corrected like 3 or 4 things on going live today where I was able to see something. The one thing that I will notice a lot of times is when I look at bio, it's going to tell me if this, like here's one, Danny McClellan right here. I know that I forgot to put his age and year. So if I go to McClellan right here, now let me go find him. As I type over here, I know he should be 29 years old in 1907. So he's 1907, 29. Boom, great. So that helps me because I know that it'll default to age 20 in 1930. And when I see that, it's usually a good sign. Hey, maybe I've missed something there. And I can see that they're the year. Okay, here's one. Marsan's another one. He should be 26 years old in 1911. And this all comes from tons of data entry. So it helps me to go back through here and take a look at these just like that. 20s, 20s. Those look good. Yeah, these are all look pretty good, but sometimes these new iterations I've done where I've had to take the 30 to 39 group, I've already got 40 players on the one, so I've had to create a second one. Yeah, it's quick as Robbie promoting baseball for Windows. Yeah. Those look good. Let's take a look at the 40s here. Yep, those look good. Yes, I think I've caught a few today already, which is good. Nice. And as you can see, just finding the notes for all these players, trying to keep up with that too. So yeah, I've got MV. I've got his Excel file that's up here along with my ERA file, my MLE file, my formula file, and then the master file I write this stuff down to. So I've always got 5 Excel sheets open at any given time. I'm trying to think here if MV sent me anybody here that I have yet to do. I think most of them I had when I looked, because he provided some seam head rankings and some Bill James rankings on there. See if anybody stands out. Dewey Creasy, I've got him built. Ali Marcel, let me take a look. Oops. So maybe Ali Marcel stands out as somebody I'll get to here. A lot of these left fielders, Frog Reedus I've got done now, Cheney White, um, center fielders, Eddie Dwight might be one that I have yet to do. Let me take a look at Eddie Dwight. And maybe I'll just add him to my list. I need to have somebody on my next to-do list. I'll put Eddie Dwight on there. So I've got him ready to go. So anyway, I appreciate what MV sent me because it's kind of helping me add some folks on there. There was a tab with hidden gems. Yes. So let me take a look at that tab. Hidden gems. I didn't know MV if that's shareable. It seemed to me like this is your. Wait a minute. I don't see hidden gems. I see under the radar. Maybe that is what you mean by hidden gems. And there's a few that I've done and a few that I will be doing. I have not got to those yet. Pearl Webster's one of them. Yeah, under the radar. And I know MV's a big fan of Pearl Webster. So let's take a look at where he's at and pull him up. As I've got some time to kill, there's always fun stuff here. Nickname Specs. So he's on the 1915. So he's got to be over here, maybe on. Okay, he's probably was on the first one. Pearl Webster. Ooh, he's a catcher. Yeah, part-time catcher. Play a little over half the games. Hey, drafted in for 1918 and died of the Spanish flu while he was in the service. 286 hitter. Can play catcher first, left, or right. So there's a hidden gem according to MV. So again, yeah, this has just been a blast. I'll pull this over here and we can see it seam heads right here. You can see. So I've got Eddie Dwight ready to go right here. And you can see he's probably, I'll have to look. I don't know if there's MLEs on him, which means I might have to crunch him and then figure out. He doesn't look like he's going to be a full-time game player. Let's see if we got him. Nope, I do not have MLEs. So I have to crank. I'll have to do one. Oh, Marvin Williams. Let's take a look at Marvin Williams here. I have not done him. Yeah. Now, since that's pretty hot 3 years, I've got him right there. Well, let's see if I've got MLEs for him. He may have enough with those 3 good years to have. Yes, I do. I've got MLEs for him, so I can tell you. Let me take a look at those years. 43, 44, 45. This is what will happen. When we MLE him over, MV, you're probably looking at a batting average. These numbers come down to about 292-ish. So a lot of people say, he's got this, he's playing in some multi-leagues there and in Mexican ball and all that. How does this move over? And yeah, you'll probably see him for those 3 years at about a 292 hitter. Um, Home runs, 14. We'll see home runs come out to, let me see, 19, maybe. Depends on how this one's weighted. So yeah, it is kind of fun to see that. Yeah, Williams is a great find, and he's going to qualify uh, for sure. Let's take a look at his fielding numbers. His range is horrible at second base, but they've got him in a high percentile here. But yeah, it's interesting. And where have I at? So here's where I was just doing some left fielders. I'm sorry, I did left fielders and I was on center fielders, and I had just worked my way down this list. I've got almost everybody, and I was down in here looking for some players here to create. Like I think I've got Bill Lindsay done already. Francisco Moran. Here's another one I haven't done that I'll probably get to. George Johnson is another one. I think I've done Davenport. I just did Valentin Gonzalez. So I'm just kind of working my way down this list. And I'm writing about this area right here to start cranking some players out. So it's fun. I mentioned earlier in this broadcast that I could just spend the time looking at all the players I'm going to card and building those out on a sheet so I know what my end goal is. But I'm too tired to do that, and it's more fun just kind of plugging along and just seeing how many it takes me to. So I no doubt we're going over 500, close to 600. Um, I think we could have enough for definitely a 20-team league. I'm really thinking 24. Because if we get 24 at 25 on a team, which I don't even think you need 25, 22 or 23 would be enough players on a team. The way these players can play all over the place to kind of cover your positions and at bats and innings pitched. But heck, if I could hit 600 and we would have 25-man rosters for 24 teams, that would be cool. Then you could have 4 divisions of 6 teams. That would be fun. And it would get, to the point where you don't have just all stars loaded at every position, right? You've got a good breakdown. Resemble a normal team. Let's take a look at Logan Hensley here. That name sounds awful familiar, like I've built him. Let me take a look at my roster, my list. Logan Hensley, 1929. Hmm. I got Logan Hensley, but I don't see him. Oh, silly me. He's going to be a pitcher. There he is. Logan Hensley. Slap. 37 games, 25 started, 3.47 ERA, but his ERA plus is 136. So again, you got to really take a look at the era he put that up in. That whip doesn't look great, but he's not a bad pitcher. He's definitely above average pitcher based on the year he's assigned. Led the Negro Leagues in ERA in 1931. There was a recent Triple Crown pitcher I did too. Let me take a look if I can remember. Go to my pitching. I've got a separate pitching tab. Let me take a look at this. Okay. So I've done Pat Scantlebury, Johnny Steelarm Taylor, George Schoolboy Walker, Roy Snooky Wellmaker, um, Dick Whitworth, Needle Nose Johnny Wright, Acostica Jose Acosta, Emery Adams, also known as Ace, Dan Bankhead, and Harry Kenyon. So those pitchers, those like 10, are the most recent pitchers that I've done. Um, Eugene Bemmer, I do not have him done, but let's take a look on Seamheads and see where we're at. Eugene, I don't have him, so I'm going to add him next. Always nice having you throw some names out here, MV. So I've dropped. So I've got Eddie Dwight and Eugene Bremer on my next to-do list. We've got Lefty Bryant. Let me take a look at Bryant. Howlin' Lefty Bryant. There he is. I've not seen anything spectacular right here. Just looking at these stats right here, that's a pretty low ERA plus. Matlack was a diamond find. Yes, he is for a lefty. So pitchers, let's take a look at pitchers. I got a couple minutes here before I got to run, but since I've got people on here that love this, getting in deep with this stuff like I do, let me take a look at pitchers. And let's take a look kind of working down this list. I've gotten many of these done. I think I'm down in this area. I've done Roy Partlow, Stringbean Williams. I did Louis Tiant Sr., Darlty Cooper, Max Manning, Farrell, Flournoy, Juanelo Mirabal, Nick Stanley, Dismukes. I'm right down here. I've done Jeffries, Booker McDaniel, Dick DeJohnson, uh, Edsel Walker. So sometimes when I get down here, you'll see very few innings pitched with some of these folks. Cliff Bell was one that I'm looking at as well. I did Pat Scantlebury here. We got Willie Powell, but we can also sort by innings pitched. You can see Here's Wayne Carr. So there's quite a few still left to do. Lemuel Hooker. Julian Castillo. Maybe I have Castillo. Take a look at that. I do not. So let's go back and take a look at where he is. I might add him to the list too. Let's see what we've got on Julian Castillo. There you go. I'm going to guess a two-way player. Let's look at batting. No pitching. But Julian Castillo, I'm adding him to the list. And I always like to come over here and take a look at some of the preliminary, look at the OPS plus for this guy right here in the era he's in. I mean, that's high batting average for those years. Take a look at fielding. It depends on the years here, but yeah, he's going to be below average fielder at first anyway. Right field, he's above. Left, probably average. Center field, average. And his arm's above average. So looks like he can play some good outfield, and he's got a strong bat. Julian Castillo. We got some good. Noted for speed or defense. Led league in doubles 7 times and in triples home runs. So yeah, he's an extra base monster for that era. Mm-hmm. So good. Now I appreciate you guys sharing that because now I've got Eddie Dwight, Eugene Bremer, Julian Castillo. Those are the next 3 I'll be doing. Probably tomorrow. Get a chance this weekend to work on it as I start building over 300. So appreciate everybody joining. I had about an hour today just to kind of come in there. Oh, we've got first two first basemen. What do we got? And V's going deep here. We got George Giles. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to add him to my list. And who else? Yep, he looks good. Real good first base range. This percentile's got him 7 to 8. Then, oh yeah, really good first baseman, George Giles. And the other guy is, yeah, inch wide, mile deep. Bob Boyd, who no, I have not on him. Yeah, we'll have to take a look. Let me take a look and see if they got MLEs for him, even though I'm only showing up to 48. Let me go, Bob Boyd. Yeah, so let me look at the MLEs because I'm only going up through 48. So let me take these years and look. So I'm going to tell you his MLEs will be at 309, maybe 310. So when you see this right here, figure out we MLE him. He's probably about a 309, 310 hitter. He's going to play probably around 132 games. About 4 home runs. So yeah, Bob Boyd. I'm going to add him. Thank you, MV. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 players now. That'll be my next 5 to work on tomorrow morning. So cool. I mean, appreciate you guys hanging out here. Yeah, it's been a while, but I think a week or more since I had family come into town. And we had a bunch of stuff going on. some work stuff, new role at work, and different things have been really busy there. Just haven't had a ton of time, but hey, I hit 300 maybe faster than I thought I could hit 300. So I know not as fast as MV thought. MV had me hitting 300 about a month ago, but that's a whole nother story. So I'm just going to keep plugging away, and I'll probably come back next week, see what I can get done over the weekend. Post comments in here on this video if you want, if anybody's got any suggestions of players and all that kind of good stuff. I know MV, I've got a couple people play testing for me, I guess, or looking at the file and are able to play and look for errors and let me know about it. MV is on the beta test team along with Arnold Hunter. Arnold was kind enough to volunteer for that. So between MV and Arnold Hunter, they're giving me so. Oh, Johnny Cherokee Davis, MV. Come on, look at this. And where's he at? He's going to be 1944. Here he is, right here, 1944. Johnny Cherokee Davis is done. He's ready to go. Three-time All-Star. I think I featured him a little bit earlier in the broadcast here today, but won a World Series with the Eagles in '46, the Newark Eagles, and he's a 300 hit. But look at the OPS, so you can see the OPS is 144. It's really good. 300 hitter with some power. Definitely a good player to have. Fielding wise, he's got a 5 arm. Where are we at fielding wise? Nah, he's a good left fielder. He's an 8 and left. So there's a good left fielder for your team right there that may go under the radar a little bit for some. Definitely. Sam Jethro was another one. Did him today, 4-time All-Star. Good base stealing ability. Just capitalize stuff here. Oh, so I feel good. I'm already getting stuff into better. Caught a few things here to correct, and I have a list. Oh, there's the player I was just talking about. This is the only other player that I can't find a picture for. So what I've done is, for Emory Adams, I've just created, based on their main position, kind of a silhouette card until, as a placeholder, until anybody's welcome to get me a verified photo of this person, because Baseball Reference didn't have it. All my other sources I could do didn't have it. So it's just 2 players. It's him and a catcher. I think Tubby. Tubby Barnes is another one who's the catcher that I do not have a photo for. Verajano, I should. Let's take a look why that's not showing. Oh, because I've got it still named number 2. That's why. So let me go change that. These are all great things to help me catch things, save myself grief down the road. Augustine Berejano. Perfect. I'll just name it Rager. So I got that fixed. So this is great. So appreciate everybody being here, and I'll probably come back next week, maybe early mid next week, and just kind of see what updates I have. Again, it's a blast. It's a ton. I have to say, it's a ton of work mentally. It's exhausting. It's a ton of work, but at the same time, it's just so rewarding because I'm learning a lot about the players, and I think that those of you that in the community that are really excited for this, for whatever reason, right? Just to have as a file to do whatever with, or to partake in Beatles Eternally's idea of getting a draft league going, any of that stuff. I think that helps motivate me to just keep plugging away. Because a lot of times I would have I'd have been like, oh, I'm tired of this. I got to go switch over to another sport just to kind of keep it fresh, you know. But this is, I'm like, hey, I got to just keep plowing through this. If I can give myself another 4 to 6 weeks, I think in another 4 to 6 weeks I could be over 500, and then I think I'm in good shape. Then it's a matter of just saying, okay, what's left I haven't done? I mean, are there people with some substantial game played in that? Does it mean the file needs to be 600 people? Does it need to be set? I don't know where the final numbers will take me. So I'm just kind of plugging along on that journey to see. But I'm feeling real confident that we can get to that 5 to 600 range to have 20 to 24 teams for a league. And I think, hey, that'd be a great file to have available for people to be able to do all kinds of what if projects. So, with that, I will see you all down the road in the days to come. And I appreciate everybody's suggestions and inspiration behind that helps keep me going with this.